Barbarian, I am definitely going to crush the opposition. There's no doubt. I built a blanking machine at Breitbart. What do you think he means by that?
I don't think it's ambiguous. I think he's pretty clear in what he thinks the president needs to deliver, and I think actually the president is in agreement with him too. Certainly that's what I understand the case to be. But there are people in there that don't subscribe to the way that President Trump was elected in the White House. I mean, you know, they don't hide it. It's not a secret. There are people in there who have more fealty towards perhaps a more Obama style of doing things and more George W. Bush style of doing things. So I think Steve wants to now come back to Breitbart and actually point the ire of the website. And you know, it can be playful, but it can also be very useful when we need to crack a nut at the people who are trying to stop things like the border wall being built, people who are not helpful to the president's trade agenda. And I don't think this is going to come down to Bannon versus Trump. This is going to come down to Bannon versus the people who he believes are impeding the Trump agenda.
Even if they are inside the White House?
Why not?
Who should be most nervous about being the victim to the weapons that Steve Bannon is talking about?
Well, I think there are a handful of names that we can reel off here. H.R. McMaster, for a start, Dina Powell, Gary Cohn, Jared Kushner.
That's everyone left.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you look at where they're coming from, these are people who have a much more Democrat bent to them, and that's not what this, you know, we always forget the Republicans won. You know, it's almost like there's been a collective failure to recognize that. Even in the Senate and in the House, it seems that people have forgotten the Republicans won. That's why there hasn't been a major legislative win so far. It's why there hasn't been any movement on what the base elected this man to do. And if I were President Trump and watching all of this play out right now, I'd go, thank goodness Steve's on the outside going to help me deliver what I promised to deliver.
What would it take for you to go after the president, or Steve Bannon to go after the president?
I think if he comes out and says, you know, I no longer stand for the things that I was elected on, then of course people are going to be very angry about that. And that's not going to be simply a Breitbart thing. That's going to be his whole base is going to start revolting about this stuff. There are people out there already who are frustrated with the pace, what they believe is a slow pace, and what they believe are the distractions, week in, week out. Somebody's fired, somebody's hired, somebody else is given another role. They think of it all as distractions. They want policy changes to be implemented. You know, Steve had that whiteboard, right? We've all seen that famous whiteboard. I think people are scared because that whiteboard is now sitting in the back of a removals van somewhere.
Is he going to bring it to Breitbart? Is there a whiteboard at Breitbart? And what's on it?
We have all the whiteboards. We have the best whiteboards.
We have the best one. Already a mind meld with the president right there. One of the things that Steve Bannon also told the Weekly Standard, and I'm paraphrasing here, is he feels that moderate Republicans, as he called them, and that could include a bunch of people who a lot of folks don't consider as moderate, yes, by the way, are starting to split from the president right now. Do you expect Breitbart to target these folks?
I think we have to be clear about this. The leadership in the House and in the Senate isn't helping the president deliver what the base wanted him to deliver. And therefore, there will be a lot of calls for that leadership to change. And I think it's not just about, you know, for the sake of it, aiming our frustrations at them, but actually proving, and it's easily demonstrable how these people are holding up that process. In this country, you have a weird situation going on now where the left and the right and people are trying to redefine these things. I mean, you guys intro this segment by calling it the nationalist populist Breitbart site, but on your website, for instance, you call us far right. Well, everybody knows we're not far right, and we have to get back to some sort of sane discourse like you and I are having here and actually have the real policy debates that America needs to have.
Thank you for accusing me of being sane. I will note that over the course of this brief interview, you suggested that Breitbart might go after the House and Senate leadership and practically everyone else left inside the White House, which leads me to believe we're in for an interesting time.
It'll be fun.
Raheem Kassam, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it. With Steve Bannon gone, there are still plenty of other people controversial at times in the White House. One of them is advisor Sebastian Gorka, who may be on thin ice, as Jim Acosta reported, according to two sources.